Start of 7 to 8 episode review. Ji-eun has died, and Jihyeok is in prison for supposedly being the shooter. He stays there for the first 49 days after her passing, unwilling to speak to anyone, and going into Sarah Connor mode, working out around the clock and trying to piece together the story of Sang-moo-ho and the operation that went bad. Everyone theorizes that Jihyeok is staying there for a reason, and has a plan. Although we know Ji wasn't the one to release the uncorrupted CCTV footage, the NIS gets their hands on it and Jihyeok is released. He confronts Ji on her betrayal, but says he doesn't need to trust her to work with her. The two resume their investigation. Jihyeok seems satisfied after tapping her phone and learning her limits when she's pressed by director Kang. The next sad casualty is Chang Chun-woo, who's brutally tortured and then hung from a billboard. But is he a victim of Sang-moo-ho, or something, or someone else? Jihyeok and Ji continue to follow leads, all of which unfold extremely quickly, and almost too easily. They're led by the messages from an outdated PDA, which is a system that Sang-moo-ho seems to use to communicate. Ji discovers the secret floor of a hospital that seems designed for keeping political prisoners. She's super brave for someone who hasn't even been trained to work in the field. In fact, I don't even know how she's able to pull off what she does, stealing ID cards, roaming around, sneaking a drugged-up patient out of the hospital and into an ambulance. If it felt like it was too easy, it's because it was all a setup. The ambulance takes off with Jihyeok and Ji in close pursuit, and ends in yet more bloodshed and explosions. The patient is murdered in cold blood, a bomb is thrown under Jihyeok's car, and Jihyeok and Ji barely escape the blast in time. Jihyeok is unconscious, but Ji wakes to see a man in front of her. Before he shoots her point blank, hooray for her bulletproof vest, she stares at him in recognition. She doesn't have to say, "Appa," for us to hear it ringing through her head. The plot thickens, again, because the man who is likely her father, though no one can confirm or deny it, now goes by the name Baekmos Uo-sung. He's known as the most dangerous criminal at the Chinese border, and he's the third person in the photograph that Jihyeok has been trying to identify. He also seems to be at odds with Sang-moo-ho. As the pieces fill in, it's as if they trigger something in Jihyeok's brain, and slowly flashes of his chemically repressed memories start to return. We don't know exactly what they add up to yet, but we do get an interesting reveal at the foreign section of the NIS. Chief Ha was the one that had Jihyeok given the zip, and set up that whole reveal that we saw unfold during our first few episodes. Chief Ha says eerily, "I'm doing just what you asked me to." The internal shake-up at the NIS continues, and Deputy Director Do steps down, and has her own side-op and connections that we don't know about yet, with Director Kang taking her place. He's now suspicious person number one. I don't trust him one bit, but at the same time my heart really feels for him. We see the happy, smiling photo he took with Ji-eun at the tropical resort, presumably he's lover number one, and we see the utter anguish on his face when Jihyeok confronts him over Ji-eun and the path she had been pressured to take. The political environment is shifting in the country and the NIS, and domestic has some quick solutions in place, placating the powerful, deactivating the field team where Jihyeok et al. Are assigned, and transferring Jihyeok to a random field office. Knowing that their time is running out, Jihyeok and Ji work even more tirelessly, and are soon in the crosshairs of a company called Planet run by a wacky CEO, cameo by Lee Jun-hyuk. Planet is in league with Sang-moo-ho, and pretty soon the clues, especially when not what, start to come together. The two organizations were working together to manipulate the South Korean elections. All the dots begin to connect. Each time an election is near, there's new, purposeful, upset between North and South Korea. Jihyeok realizes that their Shenyang mission also lines up to this timeline. He remembers the key political figure Ri Dong-cheol, the second man from the photograph, shot dead. As if all this craziness wasn't enough, we end with two really big reveals. The first, that Ji's father wasn't Mia, but was inserted into North Korea by Deputy Commissioner Do. This leads to Ji confronting her at gunpoint in the rain. Simultaneously, Jihyeok hears from Chief Ha that another timed email has been delivered. It's a second video he sent himself from the past. As Jihyeok watches the video and receives the next piece of intel, his mind is searing with pain as the memories return. He remembers seeing Ri Dong-chul shot dead on the ground again, but this time his partner Kim Dong-wook is standing over him with a gun. Though Jihyeok's been warned not to turn into a monster to catch a monster, it's clear that nothing will stand in his way. The closer we get to all these dots connecting, the more convoluted everything becomes. I was half ready for Jihyeok to be the rogue agent, and for us to see him peering in on himself. That might not be the case with this scenario, but I'm still waiting for more twists to come. We still need to know why Jihyeok needed to unlearn everything that happened, only to relearn it a second time. What can the reason be? What's waiting for him when all those memories are restored? That's all for today's video. Meet you guys after 9 to 12 episode released. Until then, watch some interesting pop and drama shots of our channel. Bye bye. Ji-eun signing out.